Today I went climbing, which is pretty normal for me. And as of late, I have discovered that I do need to try harder, which prompted a change in how I warm up when I do my climbs. Now, I used to do that overly footsie 10,000 drop knee type of warm up where you move slow and control and keep your feet on the wall the whole time, turning a 10-second climb into a 30-second type of ordeal type of thing. And honestly speaking, not particularly a bad way to warm up, but I would like to play bias a type bit or devil's advocate. I, believe it or not, already know how to use overly convoluted techniques on especially specific type of easy type climbing. And I don't know if anyone's ever proven this, but does doing these slow control static type of movement patterns on really easy climb, does that actually help you improve your max level of climbing? Or is it just a showcase that you are a very good climber? Perhaps it's like saying doing one-arm pull-ups makes you really strong, but in actuality, you're strong, therefore you could do one-arm pull-ups. At least when it comes to calisthenics bodyweight type stuff. Because I like to think that at the end of the day that the only thing that matters is to go from here to here versus keeping your feet on the wall. Currently I climb V10, so that's just the example I'm gonna. And the idea / notion that climbing V0 impeccably with impeccable technique will translate to me climbing harder than V10 doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. To totally put this in a vacuum, imagine a guy, a dude, no, perhaps even a super dude, and all he does is hangboard, pull-ups, and climbs V0 impeccably. His finger strength and his pulling prowess dictates he should be able to climb V10, and he climbs V0 impeccably, let's not forget. But let's not play dumb. We all know this super dude is never climbing V10 if he's only ever done V0 with perfectly impeccable technique. Which then brings me back to my original point. Is there really a direct correlation of improvement from doing these slow styles of warming up to your max climbing grade? Because I could tell you that if technique means the path of least resistance, well, by spending so much additional time on the wall, that path has now garnered a lot more resistance compared to just plop, plop, ploppity, plop, and you're at the top. If you ever play basketball, let me tell you something about basketball. In basketball, there's such a thing known as over dribbling. It's basically where you do a lot of needless fancy dribbling moves and you made no improvement to your position. While it looks nice and is fancy, it does nothing but waste energy. Theoretically, you should only dribble if you need to dribble. So when climbing, unless the problem calls for 10,000 drop knees, why would I needlessly drop knee? It's needlessly fancy, a waste of energy, and I like to think that the simpler you can make a climb, the better. And I would like to say that just because I cut feet does not mean I can't keep them on the wall. I most definitely can. But the reason why I cut feet is because for this particular problem, I can. And I would like to add additionally that no matter how hard I try, I cannot replicate V10 effort and strength on a V0. And all I would like to say is I climb different climbs differently depending on the needs of that climb. It doesn't particularly matter to me if the climb calls for always cutting feet as the most efficient route. In that case, I'll always cut feet. Or if the climb calls for never cutting feet, if that's the case, I'll just never cut feet. I just only really care about getting to the top as efficiently as possible, whatever that way or route is. But I digress. So as of late, I've been climbing everything fast as possible. Let me explain why though. According to my deep, insightful deductions, it's more fun. But on a more practical note, speed of completion is directly correlated to efficiency of movement. Meaning, if it took you 30 seconds to do this, and then you were able to do it in 10 seconds, the latter is more efficient. And so when it comes to climbing warm-ups fast, here's what climbing warm-ups fast does for me. 3 things. Commitment. Decision making, priming, commitment. I have to grab whatever I'm grabbing with power and commitment, lest I might drop on my flash. And of course, it's almost inconceivable that I would fall on easier climbs, but it has happened before because I was lazy and not committing. For example, with this weight climb, I committed to this 2-hand dyno. And truth be told, if I didn't choose to fully commit to it, I would have probably fallen off. Now, you may think that falling off easy climbs is not a problem, but in basketball, if you miss a layup, that's a problem. For these easier climbs, you should not be falling off of them at all. And ever since I started committing and using a little bit more energy than would be advisable on these easier climbs, I noticed that my flash rate, not just for the easy climb, but for the harder climbs, has also gone up considerably. And in addition to that, because I don't want to fall off and I'm really committed, that brings a confidence in my ability to try hard. So my ability to try hard has also went up, not only for the easy climbs, but also for the harder climb, which I find to be bonuses. Yeah, decision making might just be me, but when my body moves fast climbs, I tend to think a little bit faster. Perhaps it's an urgency thing or whatever you want to call it. Take this red for example. I was semi-stuck here and then I very quickly elected to make the decision of making a dynamic move up high, which kind of brings us to one bad thing about climbing slow and control when you're warming up. When you encounter a move that requires speed or dynamics, it ruins the flow of your climb, kind of pausing you, ruining your flow, making you think a little bit too much and hanging out on the hole, which is not very energy efficient. Of course, you do have that energy to burn because you're just so strong on an easier climb, but I like to think that that is a bad habit. And ever since climbing easier climbs faster, I have noticed that my decision making is so much quicker. Now, is my decision making better? Not necessarily, but the fact that I could make decisions more often means I could try more things more often instead of just, and here's what I mean by making decisions. By making decisions, I mean I'm actively moving my body into a new position as opposed to keeping it in the same bad position that doesn't allow me to go up and looking around. I'm into the position, I look up, I can't go around, I immediately switch again. I look up, oh I can't, and I'll just keep switching my body positioning. That's what I mean by quick body decision making. Decision is priming. So priming is basically just getting your body ready for the next task. And statistically speaking, I climb my best when I climb fast. All of my hardest sins have been done with speed. Even if they don't look fast, they have been done with speed. So practicing and warming up with speed really helps prime my body for my style of climbing that helps produces the best results for me personally speaking. Now, I touched on this earlier, but I feel like there is a trap in climbing known as I am so strong trap. Basically, you are just so strong that you could hold anything and relax for a good minute. Now, on this white climb, I'm doing a reverse down climb, and all the holds on this climb for me, they're basically jogs, meaning I could hold them with one arm, straight relax. But while I was climbing this climb, I noticed if I was to climb with completely straight arms and relax and making every move as static and slowly as possible, that I would turn this relatively easy climb into a not easy climb. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to turn a V3 into like a V5 because believe it or not, V5s already exist out there. And so if I want to climb V5, I just go climb V5 instead of making an easy climb harder. And I think there is something to be said about making easy climbs harder versus actually just climbing a harder climb. Which one is more beneficial? I choose the latter. For example, what do you think helps you more? Climbing a V0 with 200 pounds strapped onto your body, or just, you know, projecting the living daylights out of a V10? Which one makes you a better climber? I hope you said the latter. Also, I did say that climbing fast is fun, but something that I just recently kind of discovered is so is flashing. And to be honest, I never cared about flashing because maybe I just wasn't that good at it, but ever since I started climbing quickly with good decision making and commitment, man, has my flash rate gone up so much higher, and the idea and the challenge of flashing a climb is really appealing to me now. And I'm not talking about flashing climbs that are like super easy, right? Or whatever, of course. Or climbs that are like super hard that I should not be able to flash. No, those are few and far in between. What I'm talking about is climbs that would normally take you 2 to 3 attempts to do if you climb it normally. For example, this paint, because I was committed, I moved quickly, and I made all my decisions immediately, I was able to flash it. If I was to just normally climb this at like a normal leisure speed, I would not be able to flash it because this paint, for me at least, was not that easy. I needed 100% focus to conquer this climb, which does kind of bring us to this funny idea of focus. So for me, I need 100% focus to crush a V10. That much is obvious. Max grade, whatever. But I also need 100% focus to crush like a V7 or V8. And according to quick math, that's approximately 2 to 3 grades below my max climbing grade. And you would think that it would scale a bit more 1-to-1, but it doesn't work like that for me, because after a certain point, it's just your best try with all your heart and soul lest you fall off, mate. And some people say that a good warm-up can propel your climbing performance by at least a good margin of measuring. And since I feel so nice and primed for my good old quick warm-up, I feel I can really get these high quality attempts in. Like for example, this V10 climb right here, which I totally did not do because it was hard. I feel like I was able to really become a better climber because I was just able to crank and try very, very hard on it. The amount of try hard prowess that I was able to squeeze out was very good. I have a confession to make. Speak it, brother, my man, my G. I don't really want to try hard when I try hard climbs. I know. And I think the main issue here is I know I'm pretty strong, but I always forget that I am only that strong on a perfect day when I'm trying my darnness. So for some odd reason, on a regular climbing day, I feel like I should be able to pull out that strength at just a drop of a thought, but it never works out that way because wow, yes, my fingers have been clocked in at 165 pounds on 20 mil at a body weight 148 pounds. I'm so proud of that, by the way. Yay. On an average day, I'm just nowhere near that strong, but in my head, I'm like, yes, I could just whip out that strength anytime I want, but I can't. I really can't. So what this warm-up does for me is it's not about strength, it's about the intentions of success via speed, because that's how it works for me. I need speed, and that really gets my engine roaring regardless of how I feel that day, and allows me to try as hard as I can that day, even if I don't feel that great. And if I do feel great, well, I tell you what, it's just a fantastic climbing day for me then. And can you commit or nah? Because I personally don't like sideways comp style climbing type parkour type climbs at all that much, and I was rather afraid of busting my stuff up by trying this climb, but then I remember deep down within my heart, ain't nobody trying to hear that. So I broke it down and thought logically. And this was actually one of those instances where going fast was a detriment to me, because while my warm-up did, yes, made me ready to try hard, and I was able to commit to this latter half of the climb, the jump, pretty easily. What it did for me was it made my body move really fast when it shouldn't move fast. And also, there's the fear factor that blinded my way of thinking. So all the fear did was tell my body, you must go really fast to get through this horrible section that you don't want to be a part of. And I was like, okay. But after falling a few times going fast, one has got to think to themselves, I don't think going fast is working. Perhaps I should think about this, and I did think about it. Turns out I needed to be a man, a dude, no, a super dude. I just needed to swagger up it. And that swagger was about bringing the hips out, in, out, and in again. What this does is just shift your body back into the wall as you propel yourself forward. It's pretty simple, really, and I can't believe I forgot it because I specifically made a video on this already. And you know, once you get it once, it's pretty easy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, partner.